Good afternoon, or rather evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is the second video I've posted, and we got a lot to go over. Trying to keep these videos a little shorter than the last one was. So let's just get right into it here. This is our convective outlook issued, just very recently, actually, just recently. We're going to spend a little bit of time going over today, but there's not a whole lot going on right now. I may even pull up the radar later just because it's not open right now, but I might do that. But this is our percentages, just very little. Broad 2% risk over the areas of the Mississippi River, Arkansas, Missouri, and just just a really long, tall, narrow corridor here. So not high percentages. A little bit larger wind and no hail expected with this. Like I did in the last one, you can read this. You can pause it and read this if you would like, but otherwise, I'm not going to read it. Today is not as much of a concern, so we're going to move on to tomorrow. So this here is our day 2 convective outlook for Friday, the 9th, I believe. Yes, the 9th. So we're going to draw on this a little bit. I'm going to zoom in just so we can see it a little bit clearer. We'll go over what the risks are, but right now we're just going to go over where they are. So we can see, I don't know why Epic Pen's not working. It's weird. But yeah, you can see that this slight risk covers the majority of Louisiana, a good portion of Mississippi, and areas of western and northwestern Alabama, as well as a little corner of Arkansas, and that's the main areas it covers here. The marginal risk extends much further around, almost over into the Carolinas, into North Carolina a little bit. A good 3/4 of Tennessee, some of Kentucky, little bits of Indiana, and Illinois, but not really anything too major for those areas. Some in the boot heel of Missouri, just a little bit, and then a pretty good chunk of Texas here is just in this broad marginal risk. This is primarily threat wise. This is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location. And Epic Pen is still not working, so I can't draw on this. Pull that up later. But this 5% is really just the same size, a little bit smaller than the slight risk, and it primarily covers the central to south central areas of Mississippi and a good portion of Louisiana, as well as some in Alabama, pretty much over to the Louisiana-Texas border. So that's the size of the 5%. You can see the size of the 2%. It's much larger. It extends a lot further north. 15% chance of wind exceeding 55 knots or greater within 25 miles of any given location. Within this yellow area you see, and this 5% extends the size of the marginal here. So I already said those areas, so you can see it on your map here. And then the hail risk is confined to the southern areas of this, and it's just a 5% risk. And we will just briefly go over this. This is our day 3 convective outlook. This is for Saturday, and we have this kind of elongated area of a marginal risk. All we know is that it's 5%. It doesn't tell us the risk type right now. Goes up through the western Carolinas up into Virginia a little bit, down through the majority of Alabama, northern half of Georgia. I mean, it goes down to some of these same areas, Louisiana here and Mississippi. So moving on from our outlook here, this is our main one. So we're gonna go over this in today's video. So just like yesterday's video, we're gonna start with mesoscale analysis. This would be a good time to get Epic Pen working. So I'm gonna open that and see if it works. Oh yes, we have it. Okay. Let's see. So draw on this a little bit. And so this is our surface analysis. You have our low pressure centered here. across eastern Iowa, and our cold front slash stationary front draped down like this. Maybe a warm front along in here, not really all that important. That's our main front, and some rain and maybe winter weather up here, some shower activity, maybe some thunder embedded in this stuff out ahead of it here in this region, but yeah, not really. Not a whole lot going on right now. So as we saw, there's an area out ahead of this that still runs the risk of severe weather through the early morning hours. I will look into short range model guidance later. I don't really think there's anything to worry about with that. Yeah, this is our surface pattern. I'm gonna leave this drawn on and click on our upper level pattern so we can see how this overlays. So that's where our low is, and then this is where our front is. So as of right this moment, I'm gonna change this back to here so it's a little darker. You can see our wind vectors going right off of the front, almost parallel to it down here. Up here's a little bit different, but the southern areas of this front, the southern risk area, southern part of the risk area, is really only going to have to deal with linear storms. Discrete stuff is not happening down here with this kind of a pattern. When these wind vectors are parallel to the front, it makes the storms essentially crash into each other, and it really is not a good pattern and not a good look for discrete isolated storms. So we're probably not going to see a whole lot of that. But just like we went over yesterday, we're starting to see this now, this broad belt of flow, mainly positioned like that. If we draw our quadrants in of our jet streak, our initial jet streak is right here. This has been the cause of some severe weather earlier today, mainly out over Oklahoma. Event overperformed, I would say, just a little bit. So this is our 500 millibar flow. Just a very broad positive amplitude, positive tilt, high amplitude trough here. Cannot speak. We can see our secondary jet streak here. This is gonna pivot its way around towards the tomorrow's risk area through the overnight hours, and I'll make a video tomorrow morning if possible, and we'll go over how fast this jet translated so we can get an idea of our ceiling, because research has been done recently to indicate that these faster jet translation speeds can be associated with the higher end severe events. So we're going to look at that tomorrow if I can make a video early enough to go over it. This is our overall pattern. I'm not going to spend any more time on this right now. This is our surface analysis as of 7 p.m. Central Time, I believe it is. So we have a lot going on up here. If you look at our front, there's like 5 different fronts coming off there. Kind of complex, but mainly this frontal boundary right here, or these frontal boundaries, mainly this cold front back here, kind of matches what we're looking at. And we're seeing return flow. Dew points getting into the upper 50s and 60s, obviously higher with southern extent, is really priming the atmosphere already for tomorrow's severe event down here where we were looking earlier. If you envision our slight risk area, it's something like that. If you look within that circle, I'm going to erase it, but if you look within that circle, we're getting dew points near 70 in some of these regions. This is an evening, so it's looking good for severe weather already as we're looking at this. So we're gonna jump into the European model first and just briefly go over what is modeled for the upper levels here. So I'm gonna take this out in time a little bit, get the timestamp with frame. So starting at 12Z Saturday, Friday, 12Z tomorrow, and our risk area is down here in that yellow circle. So we have this kind of broad southwesterly flow of 50 to 70 knots depending on exactly where you're measuring from. 60s in here. So that's what it's looking like for no real impulses of energy. Our main impulse is up here and then back here. So nothing really rolling through this area that screams early initiation of storms, at least in this level of the atmosphere. And we roll this onward. This is getting into mid to later afternoon Friday, and again, we just kind of have this broad flow, maybe even a little bit of a ridge almost setting up. Not the best look for severe weather ever. If we had this right here, this feature, and it was like over here, it'd be a lot different. Or this one, if this streak right here was back down, then it would be better. But of course, this is always better for the people that live down there. And we roll this onward. This is getting into the overnight hours, getting towards and after midnight Saturday. And storms will be ongoing through this time frame. It's just we have to figure out where, and it's just broad flow. So that's the look there. And we will drop down to the surface. This was an interesting thing we covered in yesterday's video of another area of cyclogenesis occurring. So if we take this back to now, we see this surface low we were looking at earlier. This is 2 meter temperature, is just barely above ground level. Our low here and some sort of frontal boundary drip back here. This is modeled, but it looks about exactly like what we're seeing. Moves off into Canada very quickly and out of the way. So we get this kind of messy warm sector down here with some southerly return flow embedded in it. And all through the day, Friday. I mean, these are the important hours that we're flipping through the frames of here, and some return flow, but nothing too crazy. And then so that's that. We're gonna look. This is our storm fuel, so we're actually gonna zoom in for this one. I don't need the float sector. Well, actually, it works pretty well for our main area here. So this is 12Z Friday. We look at some of our Cape levels here in the mid hundreds, upper hundreds, not anything crazy. And our peak time is right around in here. We have some values down here over 1,000, most of them in the upper hundreds, near 1,000. So it's enough to get the job done. It's wintertime. We don't need this rocket fuel of levels of Cape down here. And our shear is good, 55 knots in most areas. And depending on exactly where you are, it increases 62 knots up here. So enough shear, enough Cape. It's a good look. Our low level jet here is interesting, to say the least. So this is 12Z Friday, and our main low level jet axis, this is winds about 1 kilometer to a mile above the surface. The main jet streak here is relegated well off to the north and some east of our risk area that's down in here. So that's an interesting look. We continue this on, and this is where things change. We have a low-level cyclone beginning to develop here. Again, this is like a mile above your head. Just think about that. Some sort of low. You can see the wind barbs like curling in, and they kind of speed around the back like that. So it's spinning. Now these winds actually are going up here. So it's weird looking pattern right here. And let's get all this off. However, I will say some of these areas, an example, right in here, if there's storms rolling through there, or anywhere back in here, we'll be dealing with a stronger low-level jet, and that will definitely increase our tornado potential down there, if there are even storms that will deal with it. So, all things to consider. So that's all we're going to look at for the European model. And we're going to switch this to, what is this? The 21Z, the RAP model, Rapid Refresh model. So just going to roll through these really quick. Start these off. These are 1 hour increments, so it's a little bit smoother. So we get through 12Z, again, broad. Nothing really to speak of in here, other than the fact that our trough is way off to the west, centered over New Mexico. I mean, way back there. And we roll this through, this is getting to mid to late afternoon, and this is a little different. This is 0Z, so this is going to be like 6 p.m. Central Time. This streak right here is a little bit stronger of an impulse, is closer in the very least. This quadrant that I'm drawing in down here and this quadrant of this jet streak are the most favorable, and neither one of them are in our risk area. But if we are, just in a general sense, the either exit region in the circle I'm circling right now is somewhat favorable. So it's Those are beginning. It's just a little bit more progressive on the wrap than it is on the euro. And all that tells me is that the wrap is hinting at the chance this trough moves just a little bit faster, and it puts that impulse of energy closer to our risk area. So that's something to consider. And that's all we're going to look at. And we roll through a few more of these. Just kind of analyze. It doesn't really move a whole lot, so it's there. Jump down to the surface. Again, our low is zooming off into Canada here very quickly. And by 12Z Friday, we have weak return flow at best across these regions down here. It's some. The temperatures are in the mid 60s down here, so it's not like it's cold. We move on a little bit, warms up, but not as much in the areas down here. I think there'll be a lot of convective coverage down here, and we'll go over that short range model guidance here in a few minutes. And because of that, I don't think the temperatures are going to get that warm. So that could definitely put a cap on this risk for sure. We'll have to see. I'll make a video tomorrow morning if possible, and we'll go over any updated information there is. So there's our surface pattern. Let's see. This gives us a lot more severe models to look at here. We're going to look at the same product, and again, zoom in. They have this float sector for us. It works pretty well. So this is 12Z Fridays. This is early morning hours. You can kind of see our higher dew points. That's what this is mainly based off of, dew points and temperature, being outlined by these higher Cape values in the upper hundreds, kind of the same as the euro. And click through these. It's a little different than the euro, as in mainly, I want you to notice this if you don't notice anything else, is that these blues indicate over 1,000. They're much further inland. On the euro, for example, I'm going to select a different color here. I'll pick yellow. They were relegated more like down here and onward. Our risk area is more up here. So notice that. I believe the RAP has model soundings on this site. Yeah, it appears to. You're going to get a flashbang here. It's unfortunate, but that's just how it works. And as soon as this loads in, we'll be able to look at it. Yeah, okay. Let's scale this a little different. Let's go over this just a little bit, just because we can. We have time. Saturated column, definitely upper level cloud cover being demarcated here by these dew points riding very close to the temperature. If you don't know what you're looking at right now, that's pretty likely. This is a plot of temperature and dew point in the vertical sense. So on the bottom, this scale here is temperature in Celsius, and on the scale, the y-axis here, we have pressure in millibars or hectopascals, whatever you use to reading. Not inches of mercury. That would drive me crazy if we had that. And then our wind barbs throughout the atmosphere listed over here. That's not as important. Not for what we're looking at right now. We have very saturated low levels. That's good. I mean, that's a dew point where we just measured is 70 degrees. I mean, that's up there. We have somewhat of a dry level. A little bit. I'll circle it. An example 500 to 300 millibar layer generally is drier and about the same temperature. So that's a little bit better. You don't need it to be saturated and fully wet all the way through the column. That's not helpful. What I'm going to do here, you can see it's probably small. That says 6 kilometers, 9, 3, 1. I mean, you can see all those. So that's your height. I know I'm filming this in America and we don't use kilometers as much. That's nearly a mile, a few miles, several miles. I mean, it's just, I don't even think about it. It's just the higher up, the higher you are, and the this is up in the cloud layer. It doesn't need to be all saturated up here. That can kind of almost choke storms out if that makes any sense to you. But then we can move on from the look of this over to this part over here. So just move your eyes over here. And what we see here, this is our hodograph. This is a plot of wind speed and direction with height. So these are increasing speed. Obviously, you can see these numbers increasing. And what we want to see as severe weather fans, we want to see this hodograph go like this. And our storm motion be in here. so that the hodograph will roughly be the shape of your storm. It follows pretty close. This is not a bad look per se for severe weather. We have some curvature here. This looks more like a damaging wind and hail hodograph to me. That doesn't mean it will be, but it's possible. And you can see down here, they don't say anything about tornado, just say severe. So based on this sounding, I would agree with them. Cape value is about 1,000. Now you may see this most unstable value here is 2,200. Depending on exactly where you measure from, those values will be higher. And it's possible that we get that much, but don't bet on that if you're a severe weather fan. But yeah, this is not bad, but it's also not really great. And we have to close that and switch back here. Let's get this full sized again and then zoom in. So we click through these a little bit more into the later afternoon. This is all we're gonna, roughly all we're gonna look at for this. But yeah, these values down here in Louisiana and Mississippi stay higher through later afternoon, even after sundown, and even spread north and eastward a little bit into central Alabama almost in the overnight hours. So we could have some sort of ongoing overnight threat here to look at. So you never know. And with that, that's going to conclude the broader range, broader scale models here. So we're going to dive into our short range model guidance now. Going to reload this so we have, make sure we have everything's fresh here. Start off new. So yeah, we're just gonna click through these right off the bat. We're starting off good right here. These right here, these cells rolling through central Arkansas could definitely pack a punch. This is the RRFSA model from a few hours ago. And you see these little streaks coming off of them. Those indicate possible rotation. So something to keep an eye out on. Nothing too concerning there. Click through these a little more. That line kind of fizzles out a little bit. 12Z. This is our main forecast time frame in the morning. What we can see here is a broad line of just shower activity and then more shower activity out here, possibly along some sort of convergence zone. It's hard to tell exactly what would be causing that. And continue to flip through these. And okay, right in here, this is a good hour to look at right here. 18Z. It's another common forecast hour. Probably along the front. Some isolated storms, some banding features, some showers. What I want you to draw your attention to, I'm gonna circle it bigger here. Not that color. I want to do it in black so it's a little prominent right here. This zone right here, particularly within the smaller circle, is a zone that we could definitely be looking at for this just being more favorable down here, just to put it lightly and put it simply. More favorable, more ingredients coming together down here, mainly just better thermodynamics, higher Cape values, higher instability values and everything. So it's possible. That's an area we definitely need to watch. And all of Louisiana, I would say, it needs to be watched. And then southern to just like the southern third of Mississippi needs to be watched for the daytime part of this. And we continue this on. This is not really a good look right here. We have multiple discrete storms here in very good conditions, as well as this kind of popped up now. Look at this line of storms back here. These all have the little updraft helicity streak on them indicating rotation. These could well be packing a punch back here, because we have to remember that marginal risk extends into Texas all much further than this. If you envision Texas on a map, the risk area goes like down here. Like, who knows what's going on under there? This sector doesn't show us. Get that off. So I have to watch. And then we get to 0Z, kind of a lot of the same. It's kind of a mix. This cluster of storms that we were seeing has moved north and maybe weakened a little bit at this time as the sun goes down. And that's all we're going to look at for now. We'll go over tomorrow's weather in tomorrow's video. But definitely a good look. Click on here. Reload this. Perfect. This is the one of these new bottles, the GSL MPOS G, whatever you want to call it. That's its full name. So let's get to Friday at 12Z. It's early Friday. Different look than the RRFSA already. We're starting with one singular band here of shower and storm activity rolling across the deep south. I'm not even going to list areas. It's massive. It goes everywhere. And we click through more of these frames. This doesn't really look all that interesting to me, at least, until we get to 19Z. So this is going to be like 2-3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Again, in the same area, we just have stronger values showing up on a reflectivity model and some updraft helicity streaks. It's not as polished as the RRFSA is, but it's there. Roll through some more. This is not really. I don't know. Hold on. This is a different solution. I have no idea what this model's biases are, so it might be spot on and it might be way off. But I'm just showing it because it's new and giving it a chance. We have, this is 12Z. We're not going to go over this much. We just kind of have the same thing. It hasn't really moved a whole lot. So anywhere across the deep south, really, based on this, anywhere in the area I'm about to circle, watch out. According to the GSL MPOS G, watch out in any of these because any of those storms could have packed a punch. It's hard to tell. I don't believe that's exactly what's going to happen because that's too broad. The Storm Prediction Center did not indicate the entire Southeast as having a risk. Now we're going to go over the king of short-range models. This is what I believe to be the HRRR model. Friday 12Z. So we have a mix already between the RRFS and the GSL. Some more discrete stuff down here, and then some more banding features, such as that one up there. So that's kind of a mix. It's not just discrete, and it's not just linear. I forgot it's going to do that. Every time I click on it, it's going to do that. That's really annoying. Wish it didn't do that. So we're going to click the Friday 12Z, resume where we were. And again, it's kind of the same thing. Let's look at 18Z. This is interesting. So we have likely, this is our frontal boundary here. And then I'm going to pick a different color. And these are possibly, I mean, some of these are all short, but these are possibly the more damaging, more dangerous ones. These ones could have stronger wind embedded in the line up here. These ones down here and a mix. I'm going to draw another color. The area of this I would really watch right in here based off the HRRR model, a little bit further south than any of the other ones. Anywhere in there, conditions will be favorable. Storms that roll through there will have the chance to do some nasty stuff. And so we can continue through the early to later afternoon here. And this again is kind of not really a great look. In that same area, we just have these discrete cells rolling through here. It's not quite as terrible looking as the RRFSA model was. However, I will note that RRFSA model has already been kind of known, even though it's also relatively new, to have an overconvection bias. So it puts more on your screen essentially than typical. So that's definitely possible. And pivotal weather is going to be a little bit annoying. We'll go over the majority. I mean, there's a secondary area here rolling through Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, the Ark-La-Miss area. I mean, and then we continue. I mean, there's a lot to go over here. We're gonna go over this tomorrow if I have time. And then for what it's worth, this right here is the HRRR model as well. I don't know why it's on this. We'll look at it just for what it's worth. Actually, we're gonna look at the low level jet as opposed to mid level jet. So this is the same model. So we're gonna roll this out and start at Friday 12Z. So if you envision we had this like line of just storm activity. It's within a low level jet. This tells me right off the bat these storms could have gusty winds, sub-severe winds, maybe full on severe winds within them, just because the low level winds are strong. even if the storms aren't all that severe. So yeah, that's that. Continue this on. It's just a different look entirely here. I mean, this is short range, high resolution guidance. It's not going to look quite as polished. This right here is really weird looking. I mean, we have some sort of uh, low level cyclone developing out here. I believe we'll get that. So we have flow feeding up into it, and we have kind of some flow feeding up into it, and we kind of have some flow going like this. I mean, it's weird. It's all messy. Um, but don't pay too much attention to it. The low level jet will get going here, and um, it continues. It strengthens throughout the day across the eastern seaboard. So again, we'll go over that tomorrow. But yeah, that with that being said, that's all I have for you for today. It's a similar length video actually. Doesn't feel like it, but it is. So I apologize if you don't like long videos, but that's the way this one is. Yeah, tune in tomorrow if possible. I'll have a video out probably by like 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow. So if you can tune into that, leave a like, comment below if you have anything you would like to say. Constructive criticism is welcome. This is a new channel. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see y'all tomorrow if possible.